Thank you so much for purchasing my book, Let's Grow Some Muscle. This is the back routine. I'm known for having a pretty large, strong back. It's one of my stronger body parts. Part of it's genetics, but also part of it is because the two big lifts I've been doing for 20 years, squats and deadlifts, they'll both build up your back. Just those lifts alone will build huge backs. If this wasn't true, then why do strongmen and powerlifters who are in the heavier weight classes have huge backs typically, especially strongmen? They don't do too much isolation work for the back typically, but they're carrying heavy things all the time, walking around, and that stuff will build your back up a lot. So if you're not including some heavy back training in your programming throughout the year at different times, year in, year out, then you're never gonna get that big of a back, honestly. With that said, also, the more work you do in general, like bodybuilding work or whatnot, when you start to cheat or when you start having really hard workouts, your back tends to kick in. So that's another stimulus for your back to grow. So the more work you do, the more heavy stuff you do, the more compound lifts you do, and the more direct back work you do, that's what's gonna grow your back. So this routine is only part of growing a big back. It's pretty basic. What we're gonna do is start with priming exercise. We're gonna do snatch grip deadlifts. It's just a couple sets of 3 to 5 reps at about 85%. This is not like super challenging. It's pretty annoying, but you can kind of get it over with real quick, right? Because you should be able to just kind of jump up to it, warm up real quick for it. It shouldn't be a weight that scares you. It shouldn't be a weight you should never hit. You should always be able to hit this weight in the gym. So what is your 1 rep max of a snatch grip deadlift? I don't know. That's something for you to figure out or just kind of make a guess, okay? So start with that, work up to those 2 sets, rest a few minutes in between them. Then we're gonna do some very basic back isolation work with a few tricks, and that'll be the routine. So let's get to it. All right, just a few weight jumps, conservative with the reps on the way up. This is approximately 85% of what I think my 1 rep max is, probably right about now on this lift, which is 580 pounds. Conveniently, 85% is exactly 495. So that is what I'm gonna be lifting with here, 85%. Again, just 3 to 5 reps. And this is a weight that if you went all out with, you'd be able to do, you know, like 6, 10 reps maybe for 1 hard set, but we're not doing that right now. That's not what we're doing. If your goal is to build a bigger back, you can put in a few more sets of this at this weight and this rep range at the beginning of your workout, kind of like a, you know, like a 3x5 or a 5x5, but we're just doing a 2x3 or 2x5 here to start off the workout because we'll be focusing more on isolation because that's what the program is about. So, here we go. Rest 3 or 4 minutes, do 1 more set, moving on. All right, next exercise is seated cable low row. Everyone does these, they work, they're good. The one thing we're gonna do different is we're gonna change the handle. The one I want you to see if you can try to get a hold of is a free handle. All right, so with the free handle, you're gonna be able to have a little pronation, supination, turn of the wrist action as you do this movement. You can really kind of like dig down low on your lats. It's gonna really help you feel them so you're not so locked up here, okay? So, if you can, get an attachment like this. An alternative would be to get a couple of single handles, maybe some chain link, put them together so you do the same thing, okay? So you can make this with something you can probably find in your gym already. Go pretty heavy, and you're gonna go like 12 to like 20 reps, and kind of like just get some, irk out some partials at the end, okay? Just a little bit of bad form, just go ahead and yank out a few more, and you're gonna rest like 3 minutes and 30 seconds in between these sets. We're gonna do 3 sets, the last one's gonna be drop. So set number 1.
your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Our next exercise is a lat pull down. You can also use an isolateral pull down machine that's plate loaded. If your gym has that, I prefer that, but there's nothing wrong with using a typical lat station here. I'm out of breath because I'm actually doing this workout. Lat pull down station. Use a straight bar, optional to do a micro band around it. I prefer that, so I get a little more tension at the bottom. 3 sets of 10 to 20 reps. Use a little bit of body English, but we're only doing 2 minutes of rest, so this is kind of like constant. There we go. Try to really feel the lats. Shouldn't be that hard at this point. You should already have a pretty good pump starting from the rows. It's a little heavy for me today, so I'm going to back down a smidge. It's okay to move your weights up and down on this one. So 2 minutes, get right back to it.
So if these use a supinated grip, that means your palms are facing you. I kind of like to keep my grip on a little bit on the inside, so about shoulder width or just slightly more narrow. Definitely use wrist straps on these. I don't want you to have to worry about your grip. I want you to really let it pull you up at the top of every rep. And with the band, the cool thing is it kind of takes your biceps out of the equation so that at the very end of the rep, you can kind of peak and really get a good lat squeeze. Now, at the end of your set, what I want you to do is hang. As you can tell, I'm just kind of like, this is another reason why you use wrist straps, because it's going to be hard to hang and really get a good lat stretch if you're having to worry about your grip. Notice I'm kind of twisting side to side, isolating each lat individually for a good stretch, even getting off the machine, throwing my head forward, and just really getting those lats stretched and filled with blood. Doing that at the end of this series is going to be awesome.
All right, next exercise is one of my very favorites. I've been doing this one for a very long time, and I'm even including it in a bodybuilding specific program. So I find that ring rows, inverted ring rows, are way better than using a barbell. And in fact, I have some really nice back machines in my gym that help isolate the back, and this still is very competitive exercise and sometimes beats it out. So I'm still doing this exercise today in a room filled with awesome gym equipment. So what you want to do is mount the rings up on a dual station at your gym, dual cable stack station, or in a power rack. They need to be about this high on your body, so my belly button's right about here, right about there, okay? And you don't want them too far apart. That's too far. You want them a little closer, but not anchored directly together. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the rings, invert. Now, at this point, you have 2 options. One, you can have your shoulders in line with the anchor point, or step back just a little bit. And this is going to make the exercise a little bit easier. It might help you isolate. Another thing you can do to make the exercise easier is I usually start out trying to keep whole body tension straight like this. You can also put your feet flat, slight bend in your legs, and that way you can help get your back in. So in this workout, we're trying to focus on volume, getting a pump. So whichever form deviation works for you, use that. We're gonna do 3 sets to failure, and with about 3-minute rest in between. So let's do it. I want you to do the same thing you did in those rows earlier. Pronate, supinate. Look at my wrist. Pronate, supinate. Pronate, supinate. And really try to feel that back. Really dig down low. Feel it right here, okay? All right, so far we've done deadlifts, we've done heavy low rows, we've done lat pull downs, we've done some ring rows, we're gonna do even more rows right now. Rows, rows, rows. Rows are what build thick, big backs. Rows are better than pull downs in my opinion. So if you want a big back, you gotta do a lot of rows, you gotta do a lot of heavy stuff. So, but at this point, we've already done quite a bit of good work. So this one's fun, this is for you. You can choose what you want, choose different variations. I want you to do a unilateral row. So I recommend you do this with something like a machine or something that tracks the weight for you, like a landmine, like a Meadows row. Dumbbells are okay, but there's too much oblique involved. I really want you to isolate the lat. So any lat machine you can find that's kind of like a row that you can do one arm at a time, choose that. Recommend using straps so you don't have to worry about your grip at this point. Done enough gripping, and so you just go kind of back and forth. So like sets of 10 plus, really try to isolate that lat. Really get that back going. So whatever it takes. Don't cheat so much, really try to get that lat going. Stretch it, done. And when you're done, just go back. I would recommend when you do unilateral exercises, you rest like a minute in between them. Otherwise, the other side is gonna get the shit in the stick, so to speak, because oxygen isn't, it doesn't favor a side of your body, so you only have so much oxygen to expend. So catch your breath and then move on to the other side so you have a chance to actually have a good set, okay? So, all right. You actually add some weight, but just kind of go back and forth, resting a minute in between sets. Do like 2 or 3 sets per side, and then we move on to the final exercise of the workout. All right, this next exercise was something I had to add to my back workouts because with the rows, the pull downs, the deadlifts, there's too much glute, there's too much ham, there's too much leg, there's too much core, there's too much arm, involved. I wanted something to really isolate the back, especially in a compromised position like flexion. So this exercise is called a seated, no-handed good morning. Now I'm using a transformer bar from Kabuki. And another good bar you can use is a spider bar from Elite FTS. Typical safety squat bar, the camber, which is where the weights are loaded, is going to be a little too high, and it's going to pitch you in a funny way. So having the camber down lower is a lot safer. I add chains because I like the weight to deload at the bottom, and I just feel like it isolates my back pretty good. So this is a very specific setup. So I'm not expecting you to be able to emulate this exercise, but what you're going to get from this is be resourceful. All right, so good mornings, traditional good mornings. Again, if those are working for your back, then go, by all means, do them. But for me, again, it's too much glute, ham, too much core involvement. I just wanted something to really hit the back for a back hypertrophy. So this is what I invented. You can try other things like a dumbbell seated good morning, seated good morning with a really heavy band around the back of your neck, maybe just a normal bar. There's all sorts of ways you can invent to get creative, to find the stimulus that you're looking for. So this is what I found for myself, and what I'm going to do is 2 to 3 sets of like 8 to 10 reps, really feeling that weight on that flexion, and then coming back up. It's just a different type of stimulus that I don't get from pull downs, rows, deadlifts, or anything like that. So I needed it for my back strength and development. That's a humdinger. Okay, that is it for the back workout. In my opinion, this is not one of the more challenging workouts in this book. It's one of the easier ones. I find that back development's pretty simple. You just have to be consistent with the heavy exercises over a long period of time, and the isolation style work that we did in this workout, layering that in as well. So it's not the most complicated body part to train. It just takes a lot of work over the long haul, because back development, since it's such a big, thick muscle group, there's width, there's depth. It's just a lot of years of just continually adding more and more muscle. So this, like I said, this is one of the more easier workouts in this book. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and do the shoulder routine after this workout, or the tricep routine after this workout. I wouldn't do them before this one, but you can kind of fit in more work in one day that way. Also, since the biceps were kind of pre-exhausted through the rows and lat pull downs and stuff like that, you can throw in 3 or 5 sets of like a cable curl variation or a machine bicep curl at the end of this workout, just to get more bicep stimulus without having another whole bicep workout. So that's it for the back routine, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, rows, 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 and deadlifts are the long haul. That's what's going to build up your back.